Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. On the agenda tonight, I took a look at KT Tunstall back in 2004 performing Black Horse in the Cherry Tree. Unfortunately, the footage has been blocked in the USA by the BBC, and it's a shame because this video is a really interesting one because it's one of the early uses of the looper pedal, and KT does it so well, so you guys know what's going to happen. I'm going to put the link to the video in the description below so you guys can check it out there. I'll also pin it to the top of the comments, so go away, have a look at that video. I jump into the video at 2 minutes and 1 second and then resume from there. So watch the video and come back here for the analysis, and I'll see you guys in the comment section. I'm just going to jump in here because there are so many things to explain about this video, especially with the looper pedal setup, because everybody will be used to open mic nights where everybody now has got a looper pedal and they can just set up the loops. And nowadays, by the way, the looper pedals are so much more advanced than they used to be, because let's put this in perspective. This is 15 years ago that we're talking about here, and another artist that is known for looper pedals is Ed Sheeran. He would have been 12 or 13 when this was happening. This particular show, everybody sees this in the UK, the Later with Jules Holland show. So getting that mainstream exposure for this looper system, and also you can see in the crowd the way that everybody is so engaged, because for most people, myself included, when I saw this back in 2004, it's the first time you'd ever seen a performance like this. Nowadays, the technology has moved on with looper pedals, and if you ever see Ed Sheeran at one of his big shows, you'll see the massive looper pedal setup that he's got with massive pedals to make sure that he doesn't miss it, and you can have all of those loops already stored, and you can get into so much detail. In fact, you can just get a looper pedal that is one pedal, and you just press to start it, press to stop it, and you can layer as many layers on there as you want to. Whereas, I'm going to explain the technology as it was back here in layman's terms, so you guys can at least look at what Katie's doing with her feet. Fortunately, because of the show and it's so well shot, we get to see exactly when she's hitting these pedals and how she's building up these loops. So the first thing she starts with are the percussive strikes on the guitar, which is effectively going to be her drum kit, her beat for the whole performance. And the pedal on the right is starting the loop, and the pedal on the left is saving the loop. So whenever she wants to record something new, she's got to press that one on the right hand side. Once she wants to save it, she has to press the one on the left hand side. And timing is essential here, because if you are out by a fraction of a second or you miss that beat, it's going to be out for the whole performance. So this is so well drilled, and Katie is so deep in this groove that everything sits together perfectly timing wise. For the percussive loop that Katie's going to start with, she's into the groove already, and she's going to be counting in bars to 4, and the percussive side of the track is going to be over 2 bars. So she's in the groove, she's counting out 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, start. She'll hit that exactly on 1 of that bar, and then she'll do 2 bars of this percussive rhythm, and she'll be stopping it on exactly 1 again. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, save, and then it's going to start repeating, and that save is on the left hand side of her pedal, so it's a different pedal to save it, but now that percussive sound is rotating on the loop. And then when she wants to set up another loop, she has to press the one on the right hand side again on 1 of the bar, and then she'll stop it in exactly the same way 2 bars later. If you're setting up loops, you can't make a mistake. If you sing slightly off key, it's going to keep repeating for the whole song. So accuracy and artistic ability is essential in order to perform this kind of song and to set up so many loops and to always have them being played back in the way that they are. So melodically, especially with the vocal harmonies, those have got to be spot on. It's a one-take deal here. You don't get to make a mistake. If you did, you'd have to start the whole thing again, and you've lost the impact of the performance. But fortunately, KT has absolutely got this down for the whole performance, so we can appreciate the amount of hours that have gone into practicing this. Another point about the hours that have gone into this in terms of preparation, KT only got the call to perform on this show 24 hours before the show was being recorded because another act dropped out at the last minute. This is the thing with top artists, top professionals, is that they are already rehearsed and they're waiting for a break. The break is the hardest part. Getting yourself up to speed and having your act is the easiest part. So KT would have been playing this for such a long time previously to try and learn storing it on the left-hand side and starting out on the right-hand side and then bringing in the guitar, and it's so much to think about at once, you wouldn't be able to do it off the cuff. There is so much work that's gone into this, but that's the point, that KT is a true professional, and as soon as there's a chance of getting a break, of appearing on TV, she grabs it. Another thing I want to point out as well is that some people might have noticed when KT was looping that tambourine, she didn't start on 1 of the bar, she started on 2 and finished on 4. And again, it's all been pre-planned because when she's striking that tambourine on 2 and 4 of the bar, there's going to be a little bit of residual sound that bleeds into the next bar. If she stopped it on 1, some of that sound would get cut off to silence when the loop starts again. So she started the loop on 2 so that when she hits that tambourine on 4, it has the whole 2 beats to then sound for. So it doesn't sound mechanical and cut off in the loop. So there is so much detail in this performance that you only get to appreciate if you know how pedals work and knew how they worked back in the day. But also, if you are a performer yourself, you can see the amount of work that KT's put into this, the amount of planning, but the execution is faultless live. Something that happens really early on in this performance is the crowd getting into it. They're into the groove that KT has laid down from the offset. And even when KT is laying down the clapping part of her loop, people join in with the clapping, and it's not what KT is clapping for. She just wants that clapping to be looped throughout the whole performance, but you get such a more dramatic effect with lots of people clapping along for the whole performance, and it just shows how much they are into it and the accuracy that KT has with her loops. Just to shift the focus onto guitar playing here, because this is one of those tracks that unless you pick up a guitar and you start playing it and you try and get all of the same emphasis with the upstrokes that KT's throwing in and those percussive strikes with muted strings, you don't really appreciate how difficult it is to get the rhythm work down in this song. And KT's rhythm playing will fly under the radar because of that. She makes it sound so fluid and gets that groove in there, and it's so natural. We've also got a lot of guitar technique going on with the riff that KT plays, because it's an open E string and then she's jumping up an octave, fretting those notes on the same string. So it means that in order to get that aggressive percussive sound from the riff, she's got to keep all of the other strings quiet because she's really hitting it with rhythm technique with the right hand. Keeping all of those other strings is giving it that percussive sound, making it more aggressive. If she had an open E or B or G, it would just ruin the whole performance because it would ring out over the riff that she's playing. So again, really subtle technique that's thrown in there, but you don't necessarily notice it because of how well it's played. And now when we look back at it and we analyze it, we can see that everything up until now in the performance has been accurate, spot on to the nth degree in order to get all the timing perfectly synchronized and all of the harmony vocals, those 2 lines that she's singing in the background, they had to be right on that one take. But let's get back into the video and watch the rest of the performance. And there we have it. And what a tight ending to the performance as well. There'll be a cancel on all of those loops in order to stop that loop from continuing. Again, we don't see Katie's foot turn it off, but it's perfectly timed to just leave her vocal at the end. And talking about Katie's vocal, she's got that ability to remain in chest voice and just lean into it and give you that smoky tone to her voice, that hint of almost distortion, as you'd call it with guitar playing. But having that ability to lean into the sound, but also hit those clean head voice notes which we had at the end, means that she can cover such a dynamic range with her voice. It's going to make it so much more interesting to listen to. Playing and singing at the same time, I always say it doubles the difficulty, and when you've got the ability to play like Katie has, as I said, there's a lot of technique that will fly under the radar, and having those different places she can go with her voice means that it can be so interesting on so many different levels, not only musically, instrumentally, but vocally as well. So like I mentioned earlier in the video, this performance really blew everybody away. And because Katie wasn't expecting to be on the show, it meant that her debut album, which was called Eye to the Telescope, that was released 3 or 4 weeks before she was on the Jools Holland show. So once it was re-released and everybody knew about it after this performance, it got to number 3 in the charts. So it made a massive jump up those charts, and this song in particular got to number 20 in the US charts. So that album was a massive hit here in the UK. It went 5 times platinum. And in 2006, over in America on American Idol, there was a contestant called Catherine McPhee, and she asked if she could perform this song and needed to get the go-ahead from Katie. And Katie has been quite outspoken about talent shows in general, saying that they're told what to say and what to sing in terms of the contestants, and that is definitely true. But she did allow Catherine to do this song over on American Idol because she said that there's no way any of the team on the show would know this song. She knows that it's come from Catherine. Also, just to mention, when I say Katie, it's 2 separate letters. That's how she is known in the industry. Her name is Kate, but the name Kate draws up an image in her mind of a female baker making bread for her husband, something like that she has said in interviews before. And just to mention as well that she's since 2004 done 5 more albums, and she's still very much working and doing movie soundtracks and doing her own albums. Her latest album in 2018 called Wax, that is the second of a trilogy of albums. So she's still writing, still recording, still releasing material. But thank you guys so much for suggesting this video for me to take a look at, and keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one.